Evidently, I have to resolve something here. 1 second, be patient. Let's see if it is working now. I may have resolved it. So first of all, tell me if you can hear me now. Okay. Now, I resolved it a little radically, right? So we will have to come to an agreement between all the devices that I am trying to put into the stream. Anyway, let's start cleanly, and then we will be able maybe to trim the recording so that this little bit of a disaster at the start disappears. My name is David Orban, and I am very glad to have all of you following the show. Before we start, I want to remind you that even if we are live, you can always watch the episodes both on Facebook and on YouTube. And on YouTube, you can also subscribe the channel. We also have a Discord community, and I invite you to join by subscribing on davidorban.com/discord. And finally, if you find the show valuable, as well as all the content that I produce together with my team and the knowledge that we share, you are welcome to become a supporter on Patreon at patreon.com/davidorban. Today we are talking about tools and experiments, and specifically about what is a teleprompter and how to use one. I will go into more detail about how the teleprompter works and show it to you specifically and physically. Right now, during this introduction, I just wanted to joke around a bit. And that is because actually I am reading these words off the device itself. I would like you to tell me in the comments if you feel that my words are spontaneous, if the delivery is lively, or if you believe that the fact that I am actually reading the words from the device is distracting from the spontaneity. To complicate your job, I can confirm that even though I am reading the sentences, actually I didn't write them. I spoke them because I dictated them using a speech recognition engine. Okay, so let's get into it, and let me show you how a teleprompter actually works and what is the kind of also software that I'm using with it right now. So that came off the teleprompter itself as it was projecting me the words right in front of the camera. Let me show you by sharing the screen how the teleprompter looks like while I am going to try to reactivate my second camera actually without causing all the echo that you heard before. So the teleprompter is a very simple device if you want to look at it the way that it can be minimally made to work, because it is basically a two-way mirror that lets the light through into the camera while at the same time reflecting whatever is laid down in front of it at 45 degrees, and then a black cloth that encloses the camera so that the light in the environment doesn't pollute the image that you want to see clearly in front of you. There are a couple of complications for me in this setting right now, which I have to improve, and maybe I will be able to show it to you as well through this gizmo. This is the one that I want to make work, bringing it into the show without having you go, crazy with the echo. One is that the cloth, as it was supplied by the package that I acquired, is too short. So it doesn't enclose the camera, and there's a hole that is luminous because behind it there is light. And the second problem is that I am myopic. I should have my glasses, and I am almost at the point where I need to squint in order to be able to read the words. Rather than using a phone, I should be using a tablet. But it looks like the only tablet we have lying around is big, is the old iPad Pro, the first. Quite nice, and I enjoyed using it, and I'm still enjoying using it, but I didn't try putting it on the tray in front of the teleprompter yet. Now, let me try this once more, and let's see if it works. It did work before as well, but of course the problem was that you couldn't follow me because everything was just too noisy. One thing that I could do is, I will try it once more like this, because I am actually telling the phone not to share audio, and I think it should obey what I'm saying. So entering the okay, is there an echo? Well, is it too bad? And I don't understand. Why isn't this completely mute? I mean, really, it is at 0. Okay, you are telling me that it can be acceptable. All right, so let me actually add this to the stream. Or I could do something different. I could try to mute myself here, make myself heard here, and then you can once again tell me if you can hear all right, because now you are picking up what I'm saying from the phone instead of my regular microphone here. All right. So I guess if you are not telling me that it is not working, it is. In that case, I will remove the old one of myself and start moving around. Okay, so this is the teleprompter. You see, very, very simple. It is just a 45-degree mirror, and there is the phone laying in front of it. Now, a funny part is that the words on the phone that I finished reading are mirrored, because they have to be reflected in the mirror, and they will be straight after you see them in the mirror, right? These are the words in the mirror, and those are the words that I see. And the whole concept is that the words appear right in front of the eye of the camera, and as a consequence, as I'm reading the words, you will see me looking into the camera. And I was telling you about the holes. You see that we can see through the cloth here. This is the problem. I should substitute this short bag with a bigger one. And well, that is the simple hardware part of the teleprompter in my studio here. And we can now go back, and I can add myself with the other. There you go. And I will mute this. And let's see if there is an echo. There is one. All right. Okay. So I eliminated the second camera because I don't need to go around anymore, and I hope you like that too. I don't think we spoke about the gimbal itself. If we have some time, we may speak about the gimbal. That is also a very, very funny device. And so the second thing that I want to illustrate to you today, as I illustrated the hardware part of the teleprompter, is the software part. Now, the software can be all kinds. So whatever I picked could work for you or not work. And there are really many, many different solutions. And I tried a few. So previously, with my friend and team member, Emil, we tried to record one of the episodes of The Context, my weekly video, which, by the way, I have to remember to record tomorrow morning because the week is running out. And I'm busy with the live show and forget to record the context. So one episode of The Context was recorded actually twice. Once without the teleprompter, and the second time after transcribing what I said spontaneously, improvising, and cleaning up the transcription a little bit, as well as the sentences that wouldn't turn out well. I recited into the teleprompter a second version, and then we compared the two. And our conclusion was that the spontaneous one was better. However, I believe I can attribute that to my being uncomfortable with the teleprompter because it was advancing the text with a constant speed, and I was trying to get the right speed, not too fast, not too slow, but I couldn't achieve what I wanted. It was either too fast and then I had to read rapidly, and I could only think about, oh my God, it is reaching the top of the screen, and soon the sentence will scroll out of the screen before me being able to read it. Or the opposite, if it was too slow, I would be kind of bored. I would have to introduce artificial pauses, and then Emil would either leave them in or he would edit them out. But when you edit out a pause in a video, the subject jumps, right? So that was the trick. That was the reason why I wasn't happy with neither the process nor the result. So I go back to my initial request. You may have missed it because you were still laughing about the mess I made with the audio feedback and the echoes at the beginning. But at the beginning, I read the text off the teleprompter, and I was asking you whether you felt it was spontaneous or not. I am actually curious about your answer. Now, the reason why I want to know the answer is because I think this time around it's quite all right. And the reason why it is good is thanks to the software that I chose to use. It has a light version that is free, but very smartly, the light version doesn't allow the flipping as a mirror, so it cannot be used with a teleprompter. It can prompt you, you can put it on the side of a camera, you can do all kinds of things, so it is just fine, but you cannot use the free version with a teleprompter. So I paid the pro version. And the pro version has the flipping, but what matters is that it has the ability to automatically scroll in real time as you are reading the text, because it uses speech recognition to move paragraph by paragraph. And also, what is smart, and kudos to the designers of the software, is that it is not obsessive about it. It doesn't matter if you introduce some extra words or you drop some words or you improvise a little bit. It will not get confused. It will not throw in the towel and freeze up or start at the beginning or do something stupid. It will just expect sooner or later to catch words or expressions from the next paragraph. And when it does, it will start scrolling up very smoothly, but rapidly, to give you a view of the next paragraph. And I think that is a great balance between the features that you have to activate and the expected behavior of the entire device. So the next challenge is that I have an announcement to make. Now, for many of you, most of you, this is not going to be anything to be very excited about or something that is really earth-shaking for you. But it's a little announcement on my part, right? Because I started an Italian live stream. And the Italian live stream has its own YouTube channel. Today at 2:30 CET, Central European Time, I started the first of these streams. And if you go to davidorban.com YouTube Italiano, you will jump directly to the Italian YouTube channel, where you can subscribe. And the number of subscribers is very modest right now, so I will appreciate if you do. And in that channel, there are the new episodes, starting today with episode number 1 of Qual è la domanda live. Qual è la domanda in Italian means what is the question, or which is the question, to be more precise, because searching for the question would have been too long in Italian. I didn't like it. And as a matter of fact, in the same channel, you can also find episodes of my Italian podcast that I started 3 years ago with a friend who is also going to be a guest in the Italian channel, Enrico Pagliarini. On Monday, we will have Enrico Pagliarini at 3 o'clock Central European Time as a guest on Qual è la domanda live. So back to the teleprompter, specifically to the teleprompter software. And yeah, what is the question? Searching for the question. So the question is, does the teleprompter support Italian speech recognition? Do I have to pay extra? Did the designers think that this would be a need? Well, I haven't looked into it yet. I'm crossing my fingers. Supporting multiple languages starts to be kind of a given in so many ways. So even if it doesn't happen right away, I know that give it a few months, it will be incorporated, especially because there are a lot of companies that support so many languages. I'm sure that you are familiar with Google Translate. If you look at how many languages it supports, it is just astonishing. There are so many, and it's so cool. So, for example, we have a lot of viewers in Pakistan, and so I say, greetings to our viewers, viewers in Pakistan, exclamation mark. And it can actually pronounce it too.
पाकिस्तान में हमारे नाज़रीन को सलाम। पाकिस्तान में हमारे नाज़रीन को सलाम।
Even speaking slowly, like foreigners need, right? It is funny when you are in America typically, and they are speaking very fast, and you tell them, "Can you please speak slowly because I don't understand?" They start shouting as fast as before, but very loud. So I'm happy that Google didn't program this speech synthesis system the same stupid way, and instead it is just speaking more slowly. And our friends in Pakistan, if they are watching, can comment if this was any good, because obviously the machine translation makes mistakes, the speech synthesis makes mistakes, and speech recognition makes mistakes as well. And as a consequence, we have to be tolerant around these errors. So back to the issue of my teleprompter software, I am looking to see if it will support Italian speech recognition so that we can introduce my Italian channel videos with a nice reading off the teleprompter as well. Now, Lloyd Allen, hi Lloyd, thank you for commenting on the show. I would love to learn where we are connecting from. Lloyd is saying syntax is everything, and I kind of agree. Often a translation can work or not work depending on the sequence of the words that you pick, and a very convoluted and complicated sentence will be harder to translate. You may or may not be aware that Google has been redesigning its translation engine to be based rather than on a statistical approach as it was before, starting more than 10 years ago when Peter Norvig, the head of research, the director of research at Google, designed the first translation system, completely blowing every other system out of the water. It was based on a huge corpus that made certain kinds of statistical predictions, basically, on what the translated sentence would have been or should have been. But more recently, Google Translate Neural Network, the neural machine translation approach is the more recent one. Already 4 years ago. Wow. Okay. And they published since then various blog posts about how this approach greatly improved the translation quality. And the reason I'm saying is because on my website I have several languages. I have stuff in English, of course, in Italian, in Hungarian, in Spanish, in Arabic, etc. Not everything translated in every language, but some in many. But very often I translate things from English into Italian because I write something in English, and then I put the English text into Google Translate, look at the translation, and then I will say, wow, this is actually pretty good. And mea culpa, it's my fault. My sentences are often too complex. I like to use, I don't know, how do you say the grammatical part of a sentence that itself could be a sentence standing on its own, but instead you put a comma rather than a full stop, and you just keep going, and you hope that you can pop out and close all the suspended thoughts that you left in the middle. So when I just brutally paste into Google Translate the English version, the result is quite good. Lloyd Allen says that he's from Canada, and the translation is absolutely tricky. And syntax is not tricky. Well, it depends. Just today I watched a YouTube video that was remarking, and I could find it in my YouTube history quickly actually, of how there is a specific test that tries to trick machine systems of language parsing, and it is made exactly from sentences that are syntactically ambiguous, not for people but for machines. So let's see if I remember one of the choices that was this. No, I don't remember the sentence. Apologies, but this is the video, and I will let it go by its own, and the subtitles. Okay, so the Vinograd schema is what we are talking about, and very shortly, Tom Scott will say the sentence that I am not remembering right now. Let me put it. Okay, there it is. The trophy would not fit in the brown suitcase because it was too big. Right? The syntax of this sentence is not very complicated, but the it could refer to the suitcase or the trophy. And we know that it refers to the trophy because those are the things that go into suitcases unless they are too big. But computers do not yet have the ability to complete their understanding of a natural text with common sense. And common sense is something that we have been trying to teach computers forever. The Psych project comes into my mind that now became something different, but originally in 1984, there you go, 36 years ago, founded by Doug Lainat, was trying to complete millions of facts correlated to each other to endow computers with common sense knowledge. And it was really something very ambitious that for the moment completely failed. There were also other very interesting projects. For example, the MIT Open Mind project. I don't remember which one. Not Open Mind Cluster, not the journal. Open Mind Common Sense. I think this is it. How to teach computers enough about the everyday world so that they can reason about it. How can they develop common sense? And this project was based on a crowdsourcing model where you would actually teach the computer common sense originally. And I haven't looked it up lately, so I don't know what type of approach they are using now in order to try not only to manage, but to increase and improve the common sense database. But I am at least very happy to see that it is alive, because over the years, a lot of people tried and gave up. Some of them, and it was creepy, because like 3-4 different common sense computer projects over the course of like 3-4 years, the founders of those projects died, committed suicide. And it was just so difficult to resist the temptation of triggering one's paranoid senses for conspiracy theories and superstitiously attribute some meaning to these separate events. And of course, I don't want to trigger you, so I'm not even going to give you pointers. If you're really curious, you can search and find these really heartbreaking events that led people to die, and then their projects neglected. One of them, for example, I remember was of an astronomer that was American but based in Chile. And he was very passionate about this project, and I also participated in the project that was gamified very smartly in how you would feed the computer with relationships between concepts. And when the astronomer died, his widow, I believe, tried to salvage the database. And I actually don't remember the outcome of the effort, whether she directly succeeded or not. But even if she succeeded, I don't think that the project was then taken over by anybody and nurtured and grown into something that could not only flourish by itself, but also represent a digital monument to the effort of the person who gave birth to it originally. And then there was an MIT project, which very well could have been the predecessor of ConceptNet that I showed you, where the founder also died. And And it is heartbreaking for many reasons. Also because we who survive are freaking out and are saying, "Oh my God, is there some kind of prohibited knowledge that these people were pursuing, and the gods of omniscience are keeping us away from breaking through and realizing agents of the singularity that could reap the forbidden knowledge?" Christopher says, interesting as usual. Thank you, Christopher. And Lloyd continues, and thank you, Lloyd, saying things I don't necessarily understand on the fly, but I'm sure they are deep and important. Let me just read them out. Maybe it will be better than not trying to speak while glancing at the comments. The fishermen of the planet laugh of those notions, passion. We didn't go to university. The sea was our teacher, and lives were risked every day. We would jump into suicide daily. Well, yes, and we admire the stories of those manly men, and we are somewhat required, paradoxically, to both resemble them, but then also to be cuddly and recognize our feminine side. What I think we gained and matured is a deeper understanding of the value of each individual human life. Yes, the passion, the creativity, the ambition, the desire, the dignity of each of us as individuals, and we cannot forget to have achieved that recognition. And that is why we mourn when we lose individuals, even though 80 billion of us died and billions of us will die. So this was quite a detour, which I don't mind at all. And a few of us are still here. And we are ad-libbing, which is okay. I want to go back to where we started. We started at showing you what is a teleprompter. There you go. A teleprompter is a physical device that allows you to read sentences off a screen reflected in a mirror, so that the words being right in front of the camera, you appear to be watching directly your audience. It is complemented today by a software that will allow the words to smoothly scroll in front of you. In the case of the software that I am using, through speech recognition. And I want you to tell me if you want me to increase my use of the teleprompter or not, because I actually can. The way I do it so that it is working well and it is not at all interfering with my thought process and production flow is I complement the use of speech recognition by the teleprompter software itself with the ability of computers to recognize voice beforehand. Now, I don't have a stable of writers, and I cannot rely on this non-existent stable of writers to help me, but I use speech recognition every day. As I prepare a new episode of Searching for the Question Live, I can just go ahead and dictate what I want to say with complete sentences. Without pronouncing the punctuation marks, because they would interrupt either my flow or it would make the task of recognition harder for the computer, I can just use the keyboard for the commas and the full stops that I need to introduce in a sentence. I remember more than 20 years ago when I would do this, and I would literally be sitting in a shop window with a large screen showing to the people outside, and I would not be heard, but I would point to the glass, and they would be kind of uncomprehending until I started having conversations with them. And it was kind of a singularitarian moment. You see, singularitarian is not in the vocabulary. Because those people couldn't believe that the computer would be able to recognize speech so accurately. Anyway, I could keep going, but the point is that as I would prepare the text for the teleprompter that I would read to you for my future episodes, the process of creating that text could be pretty improvisational rather than contrived. That was fun. So that is why I can trust your judgment. Should I use the teleprompter? Shouldn't I? And I will, take your opinion into account. And Lloyd, yes, I don't know if you watch other episodes of Searching for the Question Live, but I am illustrating everything that I do very openly because that is how I learn best, by doing and sharing and getting feedback. And as a matter of fact, I get very, very passionate viewers like Emiliano, who gives me advice almost every episode. Last time he told me to sit on a different chair because I had a chair with a high back support that he felt was constraining the view of this beautiful bookshelf behind me. And he would tell me how to do the lights and change the gain on my microphone. And I learned so much together with you that it is really, for me, the best to show what can be done. So let me tell you about tomorrow's episode. Tomorrow, we will have on the show David Bloomberg, who is the founder and managing partner of Bloomberg Capital. He's a well-known investor in Silicon Valley, and he will talk about a lot of things. Certainly we'll discuss how he came to be an investor, what he feels are the current challenges for venture capital. We will talk about how the coronavirus is impacting the Silicon Valley as well as VC investing. As you see, he is active on many boards of companies where he invested, as well as he had some pretty high-profile investments in the past with a lot of successful exits. It is funny because David was a viewer of a previous episode, and he made some comments that were rather contrarian to the points of view that my guest and I were supporting at the time. And I shared his comments, and he was positively, he felt very positive about that simple act of allowing constructive criticism to flow into the show. And so after the show ended, we corresponded and agreed that he would come on as a guest. As a matter of fact, we do have a way for you to look at who are the guests and to vote both on existing guests already in the list, or to suggest your own. Let me show you the page. It's quite simple. It says, who should be a guest on Searching for the Question Live? So I have to update this because I already had Baratunde. Alex is coming on Saturday, and Olga is picking a date. So this is going pretty well. Thank you for both suggesting the names as well as for voting on them. And please feel free to vote for other names to be invited, and for your own interests. You know, don't hesitate to suggest people who you find interesting. I don't know, 8 billion people on the planet. So Alex Lightman, who is coming up on the show on Saturday, lives on Facebook. I don't know if he will like this characterization, but he is just incredibly active on Facebook, and he has many interesting opinions that we may or may not explore more in detail. Maybe you want to check him out beforehand, just like I encourage you to check out David Bloomberg beforehand as well. And on top of giving you the heads up and the advance notice of who will be the guests, and to inviting you to vote, I also want to invite you in our Discord channel to keep the conversation going, to comment on things, and to sign up on my newsletter so that you can receive my weekly updates about the things that I'm doing. It used to contain a section that said, where am I? Do you want to meet? And the section is now kind of neglected because for the past 6 weeks and more, I have been here in my beautiful home in Bergamo, Italy, in my wonderful studio, surrounded by thousands of books. No travel, never, wherever, nothing. Also, today, we announced the Italian channel and Qual è la domanda live. And of course, as always, you are welcome to join as a supporter on Patreon to help the show and to make sure that Emil and Mauro and me, as well as everybody else helping me putting this together, can continue doing what we do, always better, learning and sharing, avoiding mistakes. And one of the mistakes I did today is that I wasn't able to create the closing music, the electro gulls, as Emiliano is calling them. So I will say goodbye and close the stream with just the silent image of the episode rather than the music, but I hope you will forgive me. And I will see you tomorrow with David Bloomberg. Thank you and bye-bye.